Imagine boarding a cruise ship, the ocean stretching out endlessly, lights, music, families laughing, drinks flowing. A floating city where everyone is there to relax. Safe. Controlled. Cameras everywhere. Staff everywhere. People everywhere. Now imagine this, an 18-year-old girl disappears on that same ship. No witness reports. No signs of struggle publicly known. No announcement of a missing person at the time. Hours later, she's discovered dead. Not on the deck. Not in the hallway. But inside her own cabin, hidden under a bed, wrapped in a blanket, while her family was on board. Her name was Anna Kepner. Young, in her prime, with plans, goals, a life ahead of her. And yet, her story ended in a way no one can properly explain. Authorities called it homicide by mechanical asphyxia, meaning she was killed through force. But the question remains. How does a murder happen on a cruise ship without anyone stopping it? How does someone hide a body in a cabin with people nearby? And why has no one ever been held responsible? In this video, we'll break down who Anna was, her final day, what was discovered, the investigation that followed, and the disturbing loose ends that keep this case alive. Before we dive into the full story, hit like, subscribe, and comment your theories below. This is one case that needs eyes, awareness, and discussion. Before we break down what happened on the cruise, we need to understand who Anna Kepner was. Anna was 18 years old, legally an adult, but still at the beginning of her life. She wasn't someone living a risky lifestyle, she wasn't known to disappear, and there were no public reports of personal issues or instability. She was simply a young woman on a family vacation. She came on board with her father, her stepmother, and her stepbrother. A standard family setup. A trip that should have been simple: food, sun, ocean, time together. Nothing in the early part of the cruise suggested danger or conflict. Just a normal holiday. People who knew her described her as responsible, grounded, and thoughtful. She had plans for her future, school, career direction forming, adulthood ahead. She wasn't someone with a history of disappearing, and she wasn't alone with strangers. She was with family. Anna had her own cabin space on the ship, access to entertainment, dining areas, and the usual cruise environment. Thousands of other passengers on board. Cameras. Staff everywhere. A floating city where vanishing unnoticed is difficult, and hiding something is even harder. Yet somehow, within this controlled environment, Anna ended up dead, hidden under a bed, wrapped in a blanket. So the question becomes: how does a young woman on a family vacation go from enjoying a cruise to being discovered under a bed with no one noticing for hours? To answer that, we go step by step into the timeline of events leading up to that night. Now let's move to the setting, because the environment matters in this case. Anna was on board a Carnival cruise ship, traveling along a standard route. A cruise ship isn't a small location. It's a floating hotel with entertainment areas, bars, decks, pools, hundreds of rooms, hallways, and staff moving constantly. There are security cameras, passenger logs, and structured routines. In theory, it's one of the hardest places for something suspicious to happen unnoticed, especially involving a death. Passengers were relaxing, drinking, enjoying music, casinos, food. The kind of place where people let their guard down. Nobody goes on a cruise expecting tragedy. That's why cases like this stand out, they interrupt the sense of safety. Anna had been seen around the ship earlier in the evening. There was nothing alarming. She wasn't reported as distressed. No arguments or incidents publicly recorded. People were having fun, and like most cruise nights, crowds and noise could easily mask anything unusual happening behind closed doors. Her family members were staying in nearby cabins, meaning any movement, noise, or unusual behavior could have been noticed, but it wasn't. Or at least, it wasn't reported. At some point during the night, Anna was last confirmed alive inside the confines of that ship. From there, the timeline becomes hazy. There is no public record of screams, no witness of a confrontation, no report of her leaving the cabin willingly. And then, hours later, she would be discovered hidden inside that same enclosed space. The ship kept moving. Passengers kept celebrating. No one knew anything was wrong. So now we move to the most important part of the timeline. The final hours before she was found. This is where the story turns from ordinary to unsettling. On the night before Anna was found, she was seen alive. Reports indicate she spent time inside the cabin with family members, including her stepbrother. There was no confirmed altercation reported to authorities, yet the timeline that follows is unclear, with conflicting statements about who was with her, when she was last checked on, and who left the room first. Some accounts suggest she may have gone to sleep. Others imply she was intoxicated. There were mentions of drinking, social interaction, and movement between areas of the ship, which was normal for cruise passengers at night. But what happened after that remains murky. The stepbrother was one of the last known people around her. His statements, according to reports, did not fully align with others in the cabin. This does not confirm guilt, it simply highlights inconsistency, and inconsistency is often the birthplace of questions. What we do know is this. At some point after she was last seen, Anna stopped responding. She wasn't seen walking the hallways, leaving the cabin, or interacting with staff. No one raised an alarm. No missing persons call. No medical request. Hours passed. Family members later reported they assumed she was sleeping. On a cruise, that seems believable. People nap, rest, and recover after long nights. But assumptions create delay, and in cases like this, delay becomes critical. When morning arrived, she still wasn't up. No movement. No response. Yet still, no immediate panic. The situation only changed when a family member checked the room more thoroughly. And that is when they made the discovery nobody expected. When someone is missing on a cruise ship, the first place you expect to find them is in plain sight, in their bed, on deck, or somewhere visible. But Anna Kepner was found somewhere no one could have predicted. She was discovered under the bed, wrapped tightly inside a blanket. Not beside it. Not partially underneath. Fully concealed out of view. According to reports, this was hours after she was last seen alive. The exact time of discovery varies depending on the account, but it was late enough that her absence should have been noticeable earlier. What raises eyebrows is this. People searched the room briefly before. No one noticed her. Only when the blanket was lifted did they find her, still, silent, and unresponsive. Staff were alerted. Medical teams attempted resuscitation, but by the time she was located, Anna was already gone. For a person to be under a bed on a cruise, wrapped up, introduces questions that investigators still can't fully answer. How did she get there? Why would someone wrap her instead of calling for help? Could she have crawled there herself, or did someone place her? Was this an attempt to hide her temporarily? Reports say her passing was ruled homicide by mechanical asphyxia, meaning pressure was applied to her neck area, suggesting she could not have simply fallen asleep and passed naturally. Yet despite this ruling, no obvious signs of struggle were found inside the cabin. No visible blood. No broken objects. No alarms raised that night. It appeared almost as if she vanished from the party atmosphere and reappeared only when it was too late, hidden in a place she would not realistically end up by herself. This discovery is one of the most haunting elements of her case. A ship full of people. Family just meters away. Crew everywhere. And still, nobody saw what happened to Anna. When Anna's body was discovered, the crews instantly shifted from vacation atmosphere to crisis mode. Security was notified, medical staff responded, and soon after, law enforcement became involved. Because the incident happened at sea, procedures were not as simple as a standard land investigation. The ship's security documented the scene, but unlike a typical crime scene, there were limitations. No immediate lockdown of the cabin area. Limited forensic resources on board. Hundreds of passengers still moving freely around the ship. When the ship docked, authorities officially took over. A medical examiner ruled her death homicide, caused by mechanical asphyxia, meaning some form of pressure restricted her breathing. This was not labeled accident or natural causes. It was intentional. However, here's where the case becomes complicated. The evidence on board was minimal. Potential witnesses had returned home. Time had already passed, reducing forensic accuracy. Cruise ships fall under complex jurisdiction rules. This means depending on where the ship was, which country's waters they were in, and Anna's citizenship, responsibility to investigate can fall between multiple agencies. And when responsibility is shared, clarity often disappears. Interviews took place, statements were collected, but according to reports, no one admitted involvement. Without physical evidence tying anyone to the crime, investigators were left with questions instead of answers. How long was Anna hidden before being discovered? Why was no emergency call made when she was first unaccounted for? Did someone panic and conceal her instead of seeking help? Or did the investigation simply start too late, losing critical forensic traces? Despite the homicide ruling, no arrest followed. No conviction. No closure. The moment authorities stepped in was not the beginning of justice, it became the beginning of a mystery that still has not been solved. Now we move into the most sensitive part of this story. What came after Anna's death was not clarity, but conflicting statements, questions, and investigative roadblocks. Reports indicate Anna was last seen with her stepbrother, making him a person of interest at the time. This does not mean guilt, only that investigators naturally began with the last known individual who may have been near her. According to available information, he stated he went to sleep that night. He claimed he did not notice Anna missing. He said he later woke and found her under the bed. Some elements of this raised questions online and among investigators. How could someone be hidden under a bed unnoticed on a cruise cabin floor? If she was wrapped in a blanket, who wrapped her? Why didn't anyone raise an alarm sooner? Was she placed there, or did she end up there during distress? None of these questions have verified answers, only theories. Another challenge, family statements reportedly did not align perfectly. Some timelines appeared unclear, memories varied, and the lack of physical evidence made verification difficult. Without surveillance inside cabins, no audio recordings, no witnesses, the case quickly entered a gray area. There was also no murder weapon, no DNA evidence publicly reported, and no clear sign of a struggle in the room. Investigators had what many cold cases suffer from: a victim, a suspected timeframe, but no solid proof linking any person to the act. To make things more complex, cruise ship crimes involve multiple jurisdictions. If a crime occurs in international waters, on a ship registered to another country, with victims from one nation and potential suspects from another, the legal process becomes tangled, slow, and often ineffective. And that's exactly what happened to Anna's case. Reportedly, despite early questioning, no charges were successfully pressed. Whether due to lack of evidence, legal loopholes, or investigation limitations, the case stalled. It didn't end with justice. It simply stopped. But unanswered questions remained, and the public has continued to ask them for years. With the investigation underway and Anna's death officially ruled a homicide, many believed the next step would be prosecution, accountability, and closure. But that never happened. Despite interviews, reports, and suspicion focused on those last seen with her, the case did not progress into a successful criminal charge. Why? The answer is complicated and frustrating. Cruise ship crimes operate under a patchwork of laws. Where the ship was registered, where it was sailing, and where the death occurred all affect legal authority. In Anna's situation, investigators faced several obstacles immediately. International waters jurisdiction issues. Limited forensic work completed on board. Potential evidence lost due to delayed reporting. No confirmed witness to the moment of death. No physical evidence to link anyone to homicide. Without DNA, without video, without a clear sequence of events, prosecutors had circumstantial suspicion, but not proof. In court, speculation means nothing without evidence. And because the crime scene was a cruise cabin, cleaned, walked through, disturbed, any trace evidence that might have existed early on could have been gone before authorities even secured it. Investigators could not establish when exactly Anna died, how she ended up under the bed, who else was present during that window, whether she was placed there or crawled there herself. So the case reached a standstill. A homicide ruling without a suspect convicted. A life lost without accountability. To this day, Anna Kepner's death remains unresolved, officially unsolved, and talked about as one of the most troubling cruise-related deaths recorded. But we're not finished yet. Because what's left behind are questions, and these questions shape the core of this mystery, the part that keeps people talking and wondering. When a case ends without resolution, all we're left with are questions. And in Anna Kepner's story, there are many, each one more unsettling than the last. Let's go through the biggest ones. 1. How did Anna end up under the bed? It's not a place someone would naturally fall or crawl during a medical emergency. She was wrapped in a blanket, suggesting placement, not accident. 2. Why wasn't she reported missing sooner? On a cruise ship, cabins are small. Movement is noticeable. If she wasn't seen for hours, how did no one raise concern? 3. Why was there no struggle, no loud noise reported? Cruise walls are thin. People hear everything. But nobody remembers hearing anything unusual that night. 4. Was there an argument? A fight? An accident? If something went wrong in that cabin, did someone panic instead of calling for help? 5. Why did investigations stall so quickly? Was it lack of evidence? Or were authorities limited by jurisdiction at sea? 6. Could crucial evidence have been lost in the first hours? On a cruise ship, time matters. Cabins are cleaned, sheets changed, people move around. Every passing minute can erase a crime scene. 7. Was Anna's death preventable? If someone acted faster, if help was called sooner, would she still be alive today? None of these questions have official answers. And maybe that's why Anna's case continues to surface online. Because people feel there's more to the story. And that someone out there knows the truth. We're not saying what happened. We're not pointing fingers. We're asking the questions investigators were forced to ask, too. And now we ask you. Anna Kepner boarded a cruise with her family. She smiled in photos, celebrated a vacation, and went to sleep that night like anyone else would. By the next morning, she was gone. Found under a bed, wrapped in a blanket, ruled a homicide. And to this day, no one has been held accountable. No clear motive. No proven suspect. No justice. All we have are facts, loose ends, and a list of questions that refuse to disappear. So now, we turn this over to you watching. What do you think truly happened that night on the Carnival cruise? Was it a tragic accident covered up in panic? Was there a fight that escalated? Or is there a detail authorities never discovered? Drop your theories in the comments, we read everything. If you want more deep dives into unsolved cruise cases and cold case mysteries, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications, so you don't miss the next investigation.